and defense counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Mr. Lenneman asked and said his client lied because he was scared. Well, in life, why do people lie? Why did this defendant lie? Why do you catch your kid with cookies on his face and the cookie missing from the cookie jar, and he tells you that he didn't do it? They lie because they're guilty. And he lied and lied and lied because he's guilty. He came into court and he lied again. He's guilty, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this defendant lied. Mr. Lenneman says, well, a 16-year-old boy was killed. What could he have done? He could have told the truth. But guess what? If he tells the truth, he's guilty of first-degree murder. You can't believe a word that comes out of this defendant's mouth. Not a word. And his testimony, I submit to you, should be crumbled up like a piece of paper and thrown in the trash. There is no truth to his testimony except his name and that he had a gun and it was concealed that night. That's about it. This story, and we'll get more into it, this story about this phantom shooter, it's so preposterous, so outrageous, it stretches the bounds of believability. Let's just go through, I know we've already established that he's a compulsive liar, but let's just start out with him in his interview.
The black Kia that who was driving, the man didn't know about it.
Lying. Nope. Couldn't have an opportunity to tell the truth. Guy in the driver's seat was shooting, and who was shooting? Lying. Guns from the music videos, are they?
And the guns you guys use in these videos, whose guns were those?
No idea. How is that going to get him in trouble? You know, the defense is saying he's lying because he's scared. If he says that gun from the music video is mine, he knows the gun is gone. He knows he gave it to somebody else. Why is he scared?
Everything that I told you, that's true.
True, but it's not. Everything he told him is a lie. That's true. Everything he told him is a lie.
Been like talking shit to people, that would be people feel like I ain't gonna lie. I ain't start talking shit first, but I did talk shit back.
And I know the defense is saying we're misrepresenting the evidence. Well, these are his client's words, and these are the evidence. Were you talking shit? I ain't started talking at first, but I did talk it. Because they keep throwing shots at me, and I hate that life. He's talking shit, they're taking shots at him. Mr. Lenneman, my client had nothing to do with this. He was just an innocent friend hanging out with his buddy in the car, and he went for a ride. If you believe this, he went for a ride that night to go get marijuana. Right, 5 hours after that threatening stuff in the car, and they just casually at 10 p.m. at night, not only are they don't go to a location, but they're just driving around there, so they think that there's going to be a marijuana dealer at 10 o'clock just hanging out on the street, just distributing it. It doesn't make any sense. What makes sense, based on all the evidence, is that this defendant and his buddies, his partners in crime, the three musketeers, all for one, one for all, they were pissed off that the other guys didn't come by. They were going to go settle the score. And I'll show you on the map. Mr. Lenneman says we didn't give you any evidence to show that there was places to leave. I will show you there was. And Mr. Lenneman claims that the Sampsons didn't live anywhere really near there. Bunnell is a very tiny place, and as you heard the testimony of Lieutenant Groff, they lived in very close proximity. These guys are circling all around. They're circling around like sharks. They were minnows earlier, and now they're the sharks circling in the water, ready to pounce on their prey and kill them. They packed guns to go there. Don't sell yourself short and think that this guy was just going out there to hang out and get marijuana. That could be farthest from the truth, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you say that? And you say that that was not first. You remember?
Now this is the statement, to keep in context, before he admits to shooting. So this is when he puts it on the mystery, our mystery driver, our mystery shooter, and he puts it on Mr. Patterson. So what he's doing is he's taking himself out of this and putting a mystery person there, but that person is really him. And he doesn't even say here that he knows that Terrell shot first when they came around. These are his words. See, when you keep lying and you keep making things up, there's some truth mixed in with it, but you just can't keep it straight.
So you guys were going down and then, when did the shooting start? When did the first shooting? I didn't even know they started. Oh, really? I didn't even know
He didn't even know he was shooting at them, but this person comes around the block at the second time around when he has to defend himself, and there is this mysterious person. Now he says he doesn't know it was Terrell, it was just some strange man. It was probably the guy, the fake guy from the car, who mysteriously jumped into the roadway. We don't know where in the roadway because he can't remember. Amazing. Someone's shooting at you, many bullets, and you don't remember where they're at. But this mysterious person is shooting at him violently, but here he doesn't remember if he was shooting at him. Interesting. That's just a few of what comes out of it.
Everyone's driving, Tyrus Patterson shot, you shot. How many times did you shoot? That's the big question. Okay, you shot about that.
What's he doing again? Lying. You know what this defendant does? He's very methodical, and he thinks it through, and he formulates his answers around what he's trapped in by. Because the detectives were slowly pulling in on him, and they gained more evidence each time they interviewed him. And you notice every time his story changed, every time he gave him a little bit more, just enough to think that he was going to get himself off the hook. But still, even here, he's putting the fourth person in there. I didn't shoot, I wasn't involved. It's not until... Didn't have a gun, right? Lying there. It's not until they really pull it tight and they pull the evidence on him that he starts to actually come forward and tell a little bit more of it, but he's still minimizing it. This is the four people in the car lying. Whose gun was it?
Whose gun was it?
It was all Dre's.
You were all Dre's.
And don't fall for his crying act here. If you watch the video, you watch when he cries, he quickly picks back up and he tells stuff to the detective without any tear in his eyes. I'm crying, but blaming Dre for all the guns, once again, even though he knows it's his gun. Let's talk about the self-defense in this case and how just absolutely ridiculous it is. First off, here's how the self-defense instruction is. So, if he was carrying a concealed firearm, which he was, which is illegal activity, he's not allowed to do that, he has a duty to retreat. So this is what it says, the instruction, and then I'll even show you how we don't even really need to get to the instruction, because none of his testimony is believable. Every reasonable means to avoid any danger before using deadly force. It doesn't require him to retreat if he was placed in the danger of death or great bodily harm against him, and it would have increased his own danger to retreat, or retreat would have been futile. So when Terrell came and shot at them the first time they returned fire, that would probably be self-defense, right? Okay. But in this case, what they do is they circle this. We're gonna use our map first. Defense said we didn't put anything in to show you evidence. Well, here you go. Here's where our shooting occurs, right? So they go right here. This is when Terrell shoots at them. They're on the corner. They turn down here. Guess what road this is right here? What does this run right into? US 1, it's a well-lit road right there. So anyone going right down the road here, right, would see that. But what does our guys do? They turn down a side road, some road here, and then start coming back up to the scene of the shooting. Mind you, there's nowhere else they could go. Devondre, who lives there, they're trying to get away. Do you really believe they're trying to get away? Let's think through that. Let's think common sense. Not only can they escape here, they could have turned here and escaped. They could have turned here and went all the way there. They actually could have went all the way right down here. This dumps into US 1. There's multiple exit routes. Which exit route do they pick? They pick the farthest one from getting into the roadway. And mind you, don't forget, they live up this way, right? They live up US 1. They don't live up off of 100. So it would have been much more appropriate to go here and get away if they're getting away. They were not trying to get away. What they did is, as Mr. Johnson told you, for 2 minutes, and mind you, this is a very small, remember when Sergeant Groff testified, here's our shooting scene. Here's where, around South Church Street, we're a very small distance away where the Sampsons live. These guys are circling and circling and circling. But mind you, what do? Do you think it takes to go a small amount of distance? Do you think this takes 2 minutes at a fast rate of speed like you saw Devondre driving? Or what makes sense? They drive here, they come down the road, they stop. They think, we were disrespected. That MFer shot at us. That crew ain't gonna get away with it. We're gonna take care of this. We are going to kill him. 2 minutes is a long time. They stop here, they get it together, and then they cut up the road right here. And then they start going all the way up here. So think about it. When they cut up the road, are they driving gingerly to that location? No. They're speeding up to that spot, and we'll get to it. I'll show you the camera view. It's quite interesting. They're only in the intersection for less than 4 to 4.5 seconds. Let's talk about that. Is it possible for this defendant to be able to say within that 4.5 seconds, and I'll show you the video, it's going to be really interesting because you probably pick it up the first time, but I submit to you, he shot before he perceived anything because he was shooting almost before he got to the intersection. And you'll see it, I'll show you the shot on that one camera. It's hard to see, but I slowed it down and you'll be able to catch that. But let's think about this. The defense wants you, okay, let's go through his story, which is just the most outrageous, ridiculous story. Okay, here's where Noah is shot. We know they're coming back up the road here, okay? So according to the defendant, some guy is standing somewhere on this road or on the sidewalk. He couldn't narrow down. That's the first thing. Does that really make sense? He can't narrow down that the person was 20 feet, 30 feet from me. But there is a guy, obviously it's dark, so you have to be close enough for him to see it, because this is not a well-lit area. So there's a guy standing here with an assault rifle. This guy with an assault rifle that no one else saw. The neighbor had one, but he went back in and they never saw him again. But this guy with an assault rifle is shooting many shots. Remember, I actually asked him, I was like, you said a lot. And I said, what's a lot? Like, a lot to me is 20. He's like, oh, there was a lot, right? So this guy is shooting repeated bullets at him. Is there any evidence of that anywhere? First of all, was there any damage on that black Kia Niro? Like, if somebody has an assault rifle and they're shooting right from here to there, boom, 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 unless they're like the most ridiculously terrible shooter in the entire world, you don't think with multiple 15 shots they would have shot and hit that car a little bit? Not one damage to it. Okay. But more importantly, he's on the roadway here or the sidewalk here. The defense tries to say, oh, well, the police didn't search all over, they missed it. Well, if you remember, they cordoned off here and here. They talked about not searching back here, but this is where the defendant says the shooter was. There's not one casing. Remember what Mesa Farhat told you? When a gun shoots, there's a casing, unless it's a revolver, it goes out of it shoots out of the gun on the side. If this guy shot 15 times, where are those casings? Officer Sanders got there within 2 minutes. Bunnell's a small place. Within 2 minutes, he's there. Are you telling me that maybe Magneto from the X-Men, that's probably what it was. Magneto from the X-Men, he came out with his magic powers, and he, within 3 seconds, lifted up all the metal in that area, and he was able to hide it. Does that really make sense? Is that reasonable? It doesn't make any sense at all. It's completely ridiculous, and it doesn't match with any evidence here. And what did Talia tell you? She never saw that guy with the gun shooting. Never. And she told you that Terrell Sampson, after she heard the shooting back here, she didn't see him again. She was located right here. She didn't see him again. His story is so unbelievable, and there is no evidence to corroborate it. If the only way you would be able to find self-defense in this case is if you believed him. Does a 100-time liar someone you would believe? Think about that. He lied well over 100 times in just 2 hours of interviews with the police, or 3 hours. He was on the stand for an hour and a half with you. How many times did he lie when he was up there? I submit to you, a lot. This self-defense, not only has the state disproved it beyond a reasonable doubt, we've disproved it beyond all doubt, I would submit to you. We've kicked it out of the park. We've hit a home run. There is no evidence besides the self-interest of the man sitting over there that there was a shooter in the roadway shooting at him. What happened was they were mad, they were pissed off, they contemplated, they reflected, they were going to make a statement, and they were going to kill Mr. Sampson, the person who shot him. And the defense says, well, they didn't know Mr. Sampson was there. That's incorrect. When they drove by multiple times, at least 3, I'm not sure if it was 4, but on one of those times when they drove by, Mr. Sampson was there. They saw him. So to claim that they didn't know he was there, that just doesn't match up with the evidence. Two minutes and 5 seconds, that's how long it was going around. That's how long it takes for they can contemplate. That's premeditation, ladies and gentlemen. And here's pretty interesting. This was in his 3rd interview. It's helpful. Because, let's listen to it and talk about it.
I don't know. When we were smoking, we said, we stopped.
The people in his car just stopped and we started letting off shots. Anything about self-defense there? Nope. And that was what was so interesting yesterday when Mr. Monroe was on the stand. He said, like, yeah, I told the cops there was a guy in the road shooting at me with a rifle. And if you noticed, I was confused because I've listened to that statement probably 50 times. If you listen to that statement, there's no information about an individual standing in the road with a rifle shooting at him. You know why? Because he made that story up. He made the story up after 2 years later when he heard what evidence was there. Oh, Talia Hopkins saw a guy with a gun. That's great. I'm going to put that mysterious guy in the roadway. Never told anyone before, but you in court today, and he's believable. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit, he's not. Here it is again. This is once again where he's minimizing that he wasn't the shooter, blaming it on the other people. But if you superimpose him into being the other shooter, the second shooter, you'll see what was really happening. I guess they seen some person they don't like. They is him. Him. He was the second shooter. And the only reason he didn't fire off more shots is because his gun got stuck and he couldn't do it.
Okay, who are you here? You were in Terrell?
Amy and Terrell. Right? And here's the best. The defense tries to say that his client has nothing to do with this. He's not involved in the beat. His words again, not making it up or not indirectly misrepresenting anything. Let's just listen to his own words.
I inherited the beat because Trey didn't have nowhere to stay, and Pooh didn't have nowhere to stay, so I just stayed at my house. Okay. And then they were already easy for these people. I was just being a friend. I was not feeling that nobody. whatever. Started running up on me.
He wasn't going to let anyone hurt his friends. He inherited the beef. He got involved. So any assertion by the defense that this guy was an innocent bystander hanging out, that just doesn't square with what he's saying here. And it doesn't square with the evidence. Let's talk about the Instagram Live, because this is very much establishes the premeditation. I know we've heard this, I'm going to try and fly through. I want you to the last two are the ones he's actively participating in. See that? He's the one, what Mr. Johnson said, he's the one taunting, as Mr. Patterson saying it too. Who's the one laughing? It's him laughing. This is, Mr. Letterman tried to play this out as this is like, some just like teasing someone. So I was thinking to myself, when you tease someone, you tell them like, you know, your mama's so blank this. That's teasing them. Or you're so dumb this. Okay? This is not teasing. This is taunting and escalating a pattern where they wanted to have a conflict. This is not just teasing someone. And let's see why it's not.
Yes, sir. We're right here.
Okay, once again, Ed Boy, it's not his fight. Not. He's just being a kind friend, reminding Ed Boy that they're there. And he's telling him where he's at.
Man, I said I think I had a run into. Ed boy.
Who's laughing again? Who's thinking it's funny? This guy over here. And it's not because he's just being a good friend supporting him. He's doing it because it's part and parcel. He's one of the 3 musketeers. And what's interesting, if you listen to Mr. Patterson's thing, I had that boy running. He wasn't running because he was on drugs. Those words show he had him running. These two were chasing him. That's what those words mean, ladies and gentlemen. So don't, the defendant, oh, we thought he was on drugs and it was just funny the way he was running. Really? Does that make any sense? So they're teasing a guy who was on drugs running funny? No. They're teasing him because they met up with him earlier that day and they got him running. They escalated the feud. They pushed it to a point where it was going to reach a fulcrum that day. Do people who are just being friends take guns and while they're trying to taunt other people, point them into the camera? He's not making money off this one. This is not like a music video. This is something live. It would be like me going on the nightly news and pointing a gun at it and saying, I'm coming after Snoopy. And I point the gun at it. That's exactly what it is. This is a threat to kill them, to interact with them.
Hey, what? Listen, it's not our job. They got to look, so we wait for the boys to pull up. They still ain't pull up yet. Where they at? Yeah. Somebody said that. Where they at?
So I'm slightly confused because the defense made their argument and said that Mr. Monroe didn't drop the location and someone just knew about it. Well, I think his words speak exactly different. We just got, listen, they just got our drop. And you heard what that means. They dropped the pin where they were at. So I'm not sure if maybe they misunderstood that, but this is his words. This is what he said. He was trying to get those people to come over there.
Oh, yes, man, nighttime. No cameras. Nobody be out at nighttime, though.
Nobody get out in the morning.
Yes.
Nobody get out in the afternoon. Nobody get out in the evening. Yeah, nobody.
This is them in the car.
Oh, yes, man, nighttime.
No cameras.
Nobody be out at nighttime, though.
Nobody get out in the morning.
Yes.
Nobody get out in the afternoon. Nobody get out in the evening. Yeah, nobody get out.
They want to catch someone at night. What happened in this case? They go down there at night to try and catch someone. These are, once again, these are his words. This defendant sitting there, he's not just sitting there folding his hands and behaving like a nice little person. Terrell, Ed Boy. That's who they're feuding with, the Sampson brothers. And for the defense to say that there's no connection between the two of them, when you feud with one brother, you usually feud with the family, right? So to say that there's nothing, and it's right here before. This is 5 hours before.
Nobody on the out. Trying to catch me one more.
Trying to catch him on. What, they're going to catch him? Are they going to take him to the roller skating rink? Play some bowling? No. They're trying to catch him to kill him, right?
What's up? What's up? This shit. Y'all wasn't even outside y'all way, so I ain't gonna come out my way. Still nothing.
What does that show you? That's his words. You all weren't out your ways. They apparently went by there earlier when Ed Boy or whatever, and they were looking for him earlier, right? That's exactly what that means. You wasn't even outside your way, right? When they came by, no one was outside. You're not going to come my way. Still doing nothing. And then 5 hours later, they go back to Vanell to finish the job. Those are his words. Bitch, don't get me hyped, because once I hype, I turn into a shooter. Do you think if someone shoots at you, and then you get pissed off, you're not hyped up, that he's not going to turn into a shooter? Let's listen to the rest of his song. His words, not mine. Thank you that he made the rap video to give you guys some insight into that. But what does he say here that's really interesting? I could be smoking, I could be killing on Terrell, but the boy be taking flight. Hasn't this whole time I didn't know it was Terrell, I didn't know this? Common sense, ladies and gentlemen. He wanted to kill Terrell that night, and they wanted to take him out after he shot at them. Mr. Johnson already went principles all through, so I'm not really going to touch on that. And then we have our three friends, our partners in crimes, the three musketeers. This case, ladies and gentlemen, this case is not about this defendant's rap videos. This case is not about his jewelry business. And the defense even said something like the state motive. Well, guess what? In the jury instructions, you will see nothing that says we have to prove motive. We could have put on a whole case without any motive, and you still could convict him, right? We gave you the motive because it goes to show you why they did what they did. But that's not a requirement of the law. If you remember those three elements, that's not a requirement. This case is about Noah. This case is about an innocent 16-year-old boy who came out of his house after a basketball game, after this defendant's group and another group are feuding and escalating, and the blood spills into the streets, and it kills an innocent person, an innocent child. This defendant is equally responsible for all that. This defendant is responsible because he was an active participant. His intent was to kill a person that night, ladies and gentlemen. And I did tell you I would show you one other. So this is that camera. And I slowed this down to 50% so you can see, so it runs a little slow. What I want you to watch is the car's going to be coming this direction. You'll see before the car even reaches the end of the block here, to be where you can perceive and see down the block, this defendant shoots. There's one shot that goes out right at that point, and then you'll see the other 5 or 6 subsequent shots all clustered together, and you can see those coming from the back seat where Patterson was. This defendant's intent, before he got into that corner, was he was going to open fire. Thank God his gun got stuck, because there could have been other dead people. His intent was to shoot.